Section 1 of the Tribune of Nova Scotia. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Doug Shepard. The Tribune of Nova Scotia, a Chronicle of Joseph Howe, by William Lawson Grant. Chapter 1, Nova Scotia. Joseph Howe was, in a very special sense, at once the child and the father of Nova Scotia. His love for his native province was deep and passionate. He was one in whom her defects and excellences could be seen in bold outline, one who knew and loved her with unswerving love, who caught the inspiration of her woods, streams, and shores, and who gave it back in verses not unmet in 1,000 stirring appeals to her people, and in that which is always more heroic than words, namely, civic action and life service. Joe Howe was Nova Scotia incarnate. Once at a banquet somewhere in England, in responding to the toast of the colonies, he painted the little province he represented with such tints that the chairman at the close announced, in half fun, half earnest, that he intended to pack up his portmanteau that night and start for Nova Scotia, and he advised all present to do the same. "You boast of the fertility and beauty of England," said Howe, in a tone of calm superiority. "Why, there's one valley in Nova Scotia where you can ride for 50 miles under apple blossoms." And again, "Talk of the value of land, I know an acre of rocks near Halifax worth more than an acre in London. Scores of hardy fishermen catch their breakfast there in 5 minutes, all the year round, and no tillage is needed to make the production continue equally good for 1,000 years to come." In a speech at Southampton, his description of her climate was a terse, offhand statement of facts, true doubtless, but scarcely the whole truth. "I rarely wear an overcoat," said he, "except when it rains." An old Chief Justice died recently in Nova Scotia, at 103 years of age, who never wore one in his life. Sick regiments invalided to our garrison recover their health and vigour immediately, and yellow fever patients coming home from the West Indies walk about in a few days. "Boys," he said on one occasion to a Nova Scotia audience, "brag of your country. When I'm abroad, I brag of everything that Nova Scotia is, has, or can produce. And when they beat me at everything else, I turn round on them and say, 'How high does your tide rise?'" He always had them there. No other country could match the tides of the Bay of Fundy. He loved and sang of her streams and her valleys, her woods and her wild flowers, most of all of the Mayflower, the trailing arbutus of early spring, with its fresh pink petals and its wonderful fragrance, long since adopted as the provincial emblem. After more than one political fight, he retired to the country for a month or for a year, and there let nature breathe into his soul her beauty and her calm. On one such occasion he wrote, "For a month I did nothing but play with the children and read old books to my girls. I then went into the woods and called moose with the old hunters, camping out night after night, listening to their stories, calming my thoughts with the perfect stillness of the forest, and forgetting the bitterness of conflict amid the beauties of nature." But while he was thus the child of Nova Scotia, he was her creator as well. Early Nova Scotia was rather a collection of scattered little settlements than a province. To Howe, in great measure, she owed her unity. The first settlements in the Acadian peninsula were made by the French, and in the fertile diked lands at the head of the Bay of Fundy. To the number of 6,000, these Acadians were driven out on the eve of the 7 Years' War, a tragedy told in Longfellow's Evangeline. In after years, many of them crept back to different parts of their beloved province, and in little settlements here and there, from Pubnico in the south to Cheticamp in the northwest, still speak the speech of old France. In 1713 the province became British, and in 1749 Halifax was founded by the British government. From this time on, bands of immigrants from various countries settled in districts often widely separated, and established rude farming and fishing communities, very largely self-contained. Howe knew and loved them all. In one of his speeches he thus sketched the process. A small band of English adventurers under Cornwallis laid the foundation of Halifax. These, at a crucial moment, were reinforced by the loyal
Sample complete. Ready to continue?